when you look at college writing guides and political discourse guides, I just did it last night because the Democratic National Convention just started, and they kept talking about black people. So the DNC, very political event, they're nominating Kamala Harris as the new presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. They kept talking about black people this, black people that, black people this. I grew up where you called everybody African American and black was an inappropriate term.
Oh, really?
Do you remember that or no?
No.
Where it was inappropriate to call somebody black.
That's hilarious.
So then I Google it and I'm like, what is this? And all these official guides have capitalized the term black, like capital B, lowercase L-A-C-K. So what that means is in like a college text or an official legislation, you can say black people, whatever. It's a true term, just like you would call somebody American or you would call somebody African or you would call somebody Ukrainian, right? Black is a term, but white is not. There is no capital W-H-I-T-E. You can't call people white. There's no term.
What?
There's no term. There's no term. And actually in the guides themselves, it says black people need to be recognized as a subset because there's people of dark colored skin that are not from Africa.
Yeah.
Jamaicans, right?
Well,
Southern Asians.
This is what happened. I was what was it, 5th, 6th grade maybe? I just started going to actual school and Miss McCrae, I forget what she taught, black lady. But I remember we were having this conversation. We were just reading like some racial literature as a kid. And I just asked her, I was like, is black offensive or do you prefer African American? You probably want African American, right? And she was like, I'm not African. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. Or like you'll hear people do this sometimes. They're like, oh, Idris Elba, one of the greatest, British African American actors. And it's like, wait, what? He's not African or American. Like he's what? So what are we talking about? So that's where I'm like, oh yeah, I never used that term, and I just had like 3 black people, and I'd be like, just say black. I'm like, all right, fine. Yeah. But I assumed white would be a thing.
It is not. So the term Caucasian, the term white, when you capitalize either of those terms, the stated reason is that it brings legitimacy to the racial history of the United States because slave owners capitalize the word white, anti-Semites capitalize the word white, members of the Ku Klux Klan and other parts of white supremacy groups capitalize the word white. So by not capitalizing the word white or Caucasian, we are preventing ourselves from legitimizing the claims of previous people who did exercise racial abuses.
Interesting.
So it is one of those interesting things. So for me, I didn't have black authority figures to enforce on me that
other than Bob Marley. Yeah,
other than Bob Marley, capital B, Bob. Yeah. But yeah, dude, it was wild because here I am 44 years old and I'm learning new shit. And that's something that you learned in 5th grade. But it's still new to me.
That's a decent point. But also you don't have to learn it because you're every race combined. You know what I mean?
Ambiguously brown, forgettable character.
Yeah, exactly. So you can be any race. It doesn't even matter. Like you could be half black easily.
You
kind of look like Kamala Harris, actually, now that you bring it up.
I appreciate it. She didn't get married till she was 49 years old?
No.
Yeah, dude.
How old is she?
She's like, 50-something, 54, somewhere in there. Yeah. She might be older than that.
That's wild.
Married at 49 to her husband had 2 children with the previous family. So, again, I'm not big into politics. But it's
publicly.
It's the DNC, man. It's like one of the biggest, most important races of our lifetime happening in the White House right now. So Kamala Harris, because you can't call her the wrong name.
I always get that mixed up.
Kamala Harris, she is part Asian, part black, which means these are the 2 largest minority groups growing in the United States today. She is without children. 33% of women have not had children, right, in the United States. She is historically been an advocate for abortion rights, women's rights, et cetera, even since she was, young and growing up in California. She's married to a man with 2 kids, which makes her the mother in a blended family, which is the fastest growing family type in America. And she is more than 2 different races mixed together, which is how like 28% of Americans identify. So when it comes to politics, and when it comes to what people on the Democratic Party line care about, she basically hits every box.
She's like an AI candidate.
Yeah.
Like they asked ChatGPT, they're like, who do we need?
Who can you create here,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well,
yeah, that's a good point.
Isn't that wild?
And she's a cop. Like, basically. You know what I mean?
She's an
like,
attorney, yeah.
Not
District
literally,
attorney.
but like, yeah, but like as a DA and like was like locking up people for weed.
So,
And
who else? Who else to go against a convicted criminal, right?
Yeah,
A convicted
exactly.
felon running for president.
Exactly. So then I can imagine a bunch of like, you know, kind of like conservative Republicans be like, oh, you know, she is a cop. She has thrown some black dudes in prison, so I guess we can look the other way.
Capital
you know what I
B.
mean? That's not, yeah, capital B. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she kind of hits everyone. That's pretty crazy.